I'm Tesla, and this is Magically Mindful. Here I share my journey of growth and what it means to live authentically through life's polarity, the messy and the magical, the highs and the lows, and everything in between. Think of this as an open diary for your soul, here to remind you that you're never alone. Hello, beautiful divine soul. It feels so great to be back talking with you after I took a month off from the podcast and social media and posting on YouTube. Here comes my sweet kitty, Dolce. She, of course, wants to be a part of this conversation. So, yeah, like I said, I'm so excited to be back and also to be on the other side. This month of hibernation was not rainbows and unicorns and butterflies, okay? It felt very dark for a while. And so I'm gonna probably go through this episode using a timeline. Like, let's go back to the start of, how did I come to the decision of taking a break, and then also I actually have deactivated my Instagram that is was magically.mindful, and we're over at Magically Mindful Podcast now. So all of these things, while it was, yeah, this kind of intense dark night of the soul, when we go through that type of initiation, there are a lot of revelations. So it's going to be a beautiful share today about the polarity of being fucking human. So let's get into it. In the previous episode of the pod, I talked all about how I was rejected slash redirected from this job opportunity that I had been manifesting for months and months. So if you haven't listened to that episode, check it out because I'm not going to, you can go there to get the kind of down low on that. But I reference it because I was, that's kind of, that sent me into a spiral, okay? It was like a month-long spiral of just negativity because I really feel that that was, like, one of the first times where I was manifesting something so intently and it didn't happen. So I think it just was such a big mind fuck for me, which then, yeah, sent me down a spiral, which felt almost wrong in a way because I have shared throughout the entirety of the podcast, which first launched back in March of 2023. It's been like the fool's journey, referencing tarot, the fool's journey of alchemizing anger into peace for my personal self and my journey. And it took a long time. And my biggest accomplishment of 2024, I have an episode where I talk about this. It was overcoming rage, meaning I was at a place after spending so many years putting in the work to regulate so that I wouldn't react to every little thing with anger. And instead, was, I had become or have become someone that just, I don't know, just things that used to upset, anger, enrage me no longer would. And I was just like, okay, this is fine. But like I talked about in the previous episode, I was revisiting that old sense of self, that old version of me, past version of me, whose reality was one of just outbursts at all times. And it's not that I was having outbursts for a month straight per se, but an example, I was kind of feeling like, okay, I think I want to take, a break. Maybe I'll just skip one podcast episode. Like I release 2 a month because I do bi-weekly, and then in between on the other weeks, I release a vlog on YouTube. So I was feeling like, okay, I had actually taken a week off from the vlog, and I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to take a week off from the podcast. So that's, 2 weeks off. But then something that had sent me into a huge spiral was I made a big mistake, and that was going to go and see someone new to clean up my eyebrows. Okay, I'm a thick brow girly, and I went somewhere new because the place that I trust is like a 40-minute drive from me because I live on the opposite side of the city. So I'm like, let me find someone local to me in my neighborhood, a quick 5-minute drive away. Big mistake, big mistake, big mistake. Don't do it, ladies. Don't fucking do it. Oh my God. I spent an hour at this woman's in-home studio, and she was fine. Like, this is not to speak poorly on her, but I just think, some brow techs don't cater to the thick brow girlies like myself, and I'm missing an inch of hair, okay? And so I don't know how well you can tell, but I am in the process of growing my brows back. That happened probably I don't know, 3, maybe almost 4 weeks ago. But, it's so interesting because the night before that I had that appointment actually, or maybe a couple nights before, I was like, "Okay, I had been in a rut," and I'm like I was kinda seeing the light a little bit at the end of the tunnel, and I'm like, let me truly pour into my cup instead of just, like, sulking. Like, what can I do to start to feel better?" So, the morning no, prior to getting my brows done that same day, I started the day with getting acupuncture, which I love, and I haven't been going as much lately, budgeting, we'll get into that too, but I was just so happy to go, and it was wonderful. And then I ran some errands after because I had some time to kill before the brow appointment, and it was just like a very flowy day. I'm like, "Okay, this is so nice, blah, blah, blah." And then I go and get my brows done, and it was also interesting because while I was laying there, like, the appointment was scheduled for, I believe, 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever had a brow appointment longer than 30 minutes. Even that to some will seem long. Like, it's maybe 10, 20 minutes at most. So, I had no concept of time. Like, there was no clock on the wall. I wasn't on my phone. I was just, present in the moment. But I was kind of like, "This seems like it's taking long." And then she was talking about my microblading because I have very at this point, like a year ago, I got actually my brows microbladed to fill in gaps. Like, I have a lot of hair, but, I have this scar on my one brow because when I was little, I fell in the tub. Apparently, I was dancing. I don't remember it, but it's interesting because I have, like, a visual of it, but it's not from my eyes, it's, like, me seeing it. I just, like, have this imaginary idea of, like, what that looked like. But anyways, so, yeah, she was, like, spending so much time, but I was like, I don't know, I had just had the acupuncture, so I was kind of, like, just relaxing, almost dozing off, and then she was saying, like, "Oh, I keep trying to get this, but then I realize it's your microblade," and, like, nothing was clicking to me because yeah, like, my microblading blades were exposed, and that's, like I just don't even know how she would think that that was okay. Like, the only thing that I said to this woman before she started was, "I like the thickness of my brows." I'm gonna insert a photo so you can see the difference, okay? And, uh, I yeah, I just in those types of situations, although, I mean, I learned my lesson, but I just think, like, I can be very oblivious, but, oh my god, man, that did not serve me. That that oblivion, I just yeah, so I didn't realize, like, she showed me, and she also was like, before she did anything, she was like, "Okay," took, like, a file or something and was, like, measuring from my nose to, like, the tip of my brow or and, like, the arch or whatever, and I didn't realize, like, I just there was communication, but it was miscommunication on both of our ends because obviously it didn't register to her the one thing I said, which is I like the thickness, and whatever she was showing me about like how my brows should sit, like I wasn't recognizing like, hey, her being like, hey, I'm actually taking all of this hair off. And oh my goodness, when I was in high school in the 11th grade, I was getting bullied for my brows because I had over plucked them and there was no shape to them and they were so, so skinny. But as I have grown and matured, I'm like, oh my goodness, for me, what works best for me is the thick brows. Okay, I'm half Chilean. I have hair on this freaking body. And like, I mean, my eyebrows, they will, like, grow on the eyelid. I've never, like, let them. Like, I just get, like, when they're growing and then I pluck them, but it's like, if I didn't touch my brows, who knows? I'd probably have no face because they'd be covered by my freaking eyebrows. But anyways, so, yeah, I didn't like, I even okay, whatever. I leave the appointment, I'm in the car, and I'm looking and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, they're thin, but it's fine." Like, but it wasn't until I came home that I was like, "Oh my fucking god. This woman took an inch of my hair off of my fucking eyebrows." And I lost it because I'm like, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And I love myself, okay? Like I yeah, I just like, I don't think I nitpick myself or, like, my looks, so I just was, like, so beside myself, and I couldn't even look at myself because I'm like, "I look insane." But obviously, we're our own worst critics, and again, it's not that I was trying to be a critic, but I'm like, I know how I should look, and I also don't wear makeup, and so I just felt that much more exposed. Like, I will depending on what I'm doing, but there's no reason for me to wear makeup. Like it's very once in a blue moon I do, but it's like okay, but my facial features, like it works in a way that I personally feel like I don't need to wear makeup or whatever. So yeah, that I was just like, oh my goodness. So I was like, okay, I'm for sure taking a break from the pod because I don't want to be seen right now. So it is very interesting though because it was a few days into October, like maybe a week into October, and then I was like, "Actually, okay, I decided I'm taking a break from posting." But I then was like, "Let me just take a month off of social media." And this is something that I have done in the past. This is the 3rd time I've done this, and interestingly enough, it's always been the month of October. So, intuitively, October is a good time for me to detox completely from social media. So, what does that look like? I deleted Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok from my phone and logged out. There was a few times that I would go on my computer and go on, Facebook or Instagram, but wasn't much at all, and it happened, like, a couple weeks, like, nearing the end of the month that I was doing that, but yeah, and still, actually, I haven't re-downloaded TikTok, I only did Facebook and Instagram, and I was like, "Yeah, I just need" like, because also too, why I was prior to the whole brow fiasco feeling like, "Oh, I wanna take a break from the pod was because I just was feeling so dark and heavy, and it's not that I'm all about being authentic and, I'm here to share all of that, but just being so in it, I was like, "I literally don't even know what to say right now." Like, I have nothing good to say, and I don't want to actively put out negativity into the world, Like, I wanted to be in a better mindset, and so, yeah, I just for a while, like, for a couple weeks yeah, because the whole thing with that rejection from that job that I was manifesting, that happened, like, September 24th, okay, to be so exact, and the reason why I know that is because that was also my GMA's death anniversary, 8 years since she had passed. I love you, GMA. So, that's why that date sticks out to me. But then, yeah, so from then on, it was like I kind of like it was dark, 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 and then I was kinda starting to feel better, and then the brow thing happened, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm back to fucking square 0." So, interestingly enough, what helped me to start moving forward because I think yeah, it was very interesting because while I didn't love well, no, like, I didn't love how I was feeling, like, I don't even know if uncomfortable was the right word, but, like, it felt in a lot of ways surprising that I was like, "Oh, this is taking me longer than normal to, like, move through," honestly, because I think I just have come so far with my mindset, and I do pride myself in being a positive person, and I always look for the silver lining, and so am what's ingrained in me is, yeah, like, the universe has my back, I'm being divinely guided and supported, but I think it was, like, for about a month, I felt like my divine plan don't know her, you know? But I had spent years being guided by my divine plan, which I know is still very much there. And so to me, that just means like, everything is always happening for me and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And I've said that on various episodes, reminding you that no matter what you're moving through, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And then there I was, but I couldn't even believe that. Like, it just felt so mundane. Well, I don't know if mundane's the right word. It was just very, like, okay, I'm a human and like, well, I guess I'm a spirit, I'm a soul in a human form, but I'm dealing with very much the 3D bullshit right now. And I just can't. That's how I felt. So then the turning point was my friend was visiting from Edmonton. She's a tattoo artist. I'll put her Instagram right here so you can go and check her out because she does amazing, amazing work. And yeah, she had come to Calgary for the tattoo convention. So it ran from Friday to Sunday, but she had gotten here on a Thursday and we went to Canmore and went to Grassy Lakes and did a hike, and it was just a really nice change of scenery, change of pace because I just had been feeling so. So that was so rejuvenating, refreshing to be in the mountains, like, there's no better place to ground if you ask me. And then with the tattoo convention, she asked me to work her booth for her because it's a very busy event, and while she's tattooing, that would be, like, not ideal for her to also have to, you know, get people booked in and then like, all the things, right? Like, she needed someone to help with logistics, and prior to being a tattoo artist, she actually made earrings, out of polymer clay, and they're so, like, fun, and yeah, so she was also selling them, so I was her booth bitch, booth babe, and I was, selling the earrings. It was also so fun because she had gotten this mini claw machine, and then it was a get what you get. So for $100, you could play, and then whatever thing you picked, you would get it tattooed for $100 or spin again for another $20. That was so fun. There was a handful of people that did it, and the designs were a mix of like super random and funny and weird, yet cute or spooky because it was, around Halloween. So that was so fun. And yeah, for Friday and Saturday, we carpooled. My friend Bree, she drove, but then on the Sunday, we drove separately because she was driving back to Edmonton afterwards. So when I was driving down there by myself, I had checked in with one of my friends that I voice message pretty much every single day, but I had been kind of MIA. So I was like, hey, the weekend's been good, this and that. And then I was like, oh, I actually have been feeling so much better because I've been present. I've been present. So I leave her this voice message and I'm still probably like 10, 15 minutes away from the event. And then I start to spiral in my mind. I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" Like I basically what had been stressing me out or what has yeah, and like my main stressor has been money, cancel clear delete. I don't want to continue to put that out there, but like manifest it. So cancel clear delete. But honestly, yeah, because it's like the whole thing with that other job, I was so I so firmly believed I'm getting this job and it's a salary and so I'm going to be all good to go. And, when that didn't happen and that I'm still found myself doing food delivery, DoorDash, and more recently I've also been doing Uber Eats and I'm like, what it just has felt stressful because my outcome is less than my income. Cancel, clear, delete. So after I leave my friend this voice message, I'm like, oh my God, I was like back to square one. Like I felt so stressed. But thank God that I still had a full day of work at the event still because, yeah, just like the hours were long, but it would go by fast, and, I'm feel so grateful because the other tables by ours were everyone was just so, good vibes, it brought in a good crowd, I just yeah, and it is just so interesting because I have grown into someone that doesn't overthink. I don't even yeah, I don't even know if when I was younger I would overthink, but I just had a negative mindset, so, it was like I had the voice in my head that was like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah," always nitpicking, but then through doing all of the work on myself and learning to love myself, becoming my own best friend, that just became obsolete, that negative voice. It turned into a positive one. And I have my own cheerleader or I just talk out loud. There's not a lot going on in my mind in terms of busyness. But when I was going through this dark night of the soul, it was it had brought me back to I feel like my teenage self, and I have another kind of thread to talk about that version of me in just a moment, but for weeks I just had f with maybe without even realizing, I was feeling so much in a rut because my mind was being filled with garbage and fear and just all of yeah, fear and scarcity, lack. That was my mentality because I was so distraught over not getting that job. And in the episode where I give you the full debrief on that, I was able to come to see okay, this is redirection and I still yeah, I'm not I don't know. I guess what I wanna say is I'm no longer distraught about it, but that was really the source of it that to me that felt like the source of oh my god, I'm feeling like shit because, what am I gonna do now to keep myself afloat, essentially. So yeah, after working the convention, I recognized how important it is for me to do things for myself that will allow me to be present. And honestly, I have been so out of flow in terms of working out. I, for a couple of years, was doing a small group training or small group training classes twice a week. But now, because I'm budgeting, I'm no longer doing those classes. But it's ironic because I, for the first time since college, actually have access to a gym in my building, yet I have not had the capacity to just go down there and use it. I have, once or twice, but I just am like, and obviously I know, I freaking know how much working out helps my mental health. I'm sure you can relate. But sometimes we may find ourselves in a season where we're like, I just can't even make it there. And it is frustrating because I'm like it has been frustrating because I'm like, girl, like you don't even have to go anywhere. But at the same time, I'm ruled by Saturn. So I think actually having booked classes kept me accountable, and so really what this comes down to is that, I haven't had the capacity to hold myself accountable for that. I have for other things, but not for that, and I have a chat on ChatGPT where it's, like, all about like, I gave it my birth chart and being like, "Okay, I'm amidst Amidst. I don't know why that sounds weird as I'm saying it. I think I said it right the first time, but my Saturn return, okay? And so, I mean, Saturn has actually been retrograding in Pisces though. I don't know if I said that in the last episode. So I'm just like, "Oh, so maybe I had like is this even my Saturn return?" But I think it is. And also too, I'm living under my Neptune line and Neptune rules Pisces. So even the fact that Saturn has actually been retrograding into Pisces is very interesting because for the majority of my living in Calgary, and I had first when I moved here, it was 2020. So it's gonna be next summer, it'll be 6 years, which that's actually crazy. But yeah, I just, for most the first few years of living here, I was depressed and just like stuck and stagnant. But I didn't have the knowledge around my human design at that time and not even the same awareness about astrology. Like that came later. And so what I know is that one of my gifts in human design speaks to the fact that the way that my energy operates is that it pulses on and off. And when it's off, it can feel melancholic. But if you don't know that, then you may push yourself into a worse position, meaning like depression. And that's what happened to me because I felt off in a funk. And then I'm like, well, I need to fix this. I need to make this better. Like, and try to like retrace my steps. And this I'm speaking about like a couple years ago. I was thinking, like, okay, well, before or like in the past when I was feeling good, okay, I was like working in Toronto and I was doing these things. So then I was trying to like, I don't know, fill these voids and like do this stuff. But I received some really powerful advice during that time, which was the art of unbecoming. So that was so helpful. But then, yeah, in hindsight, I learned, oh, because the gene keys actually gave me even more depth beyond my channel from human design, which is the 360 channel of mutation. And it's okay if this is like I'm using this lingo, but it's just for context, but it doesn't really matter. It's just yeah, anyways. So I learned that okay, when you have this gift, if you're feeling melancholic and you try to like be like, "Oh, I got to like fix this, fix this, fix this," then you push yourself into things like deep sadness or depression or anxiety, whatever it may be, because you are trying to manipulate a natural like part of your process. Like you're trying to manipulate it, but it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. But like the mind and even like conditioning and like the way that our society is and all this stuff, like, oh, you're feeling off. There must be something wrong with you. So here, let's do all of these fucking things. But I've learned the best thing that I can do if I'm feeling off is I have to just honor it. And the thing too about this is like there is no there is no guide as to how long one can be in that off energy and the melancholy. It could go on for multiple days, it could be less than 24 hours, it could be weeks, months, I think it can even be years. Like, and because I remember asking my teacher about that and she was like, "Yeah, like it can go all across the board," and she's worked with clients that have had the channel and like that's her awareness from it. Like the data that she's gathered is like, yeah, literally like there's no knowing. And I just think what I had been moving through, and I think I still sort of am, like, most recently with, like, the dark night of the soul moment, I think that that was just yeah, my energy was very much off, but also too, like, my nervous system was in overdrive because I think it was just so much built up, and then there was a lot of anger that came with it, and then it's like I just, like, went numb to it all, and then I'm, like, just kind of, like, needed to shut everything out to find myself again. And referencing back to my ChatGPT thread that I have about all of this, it was telling me or informing me that yeah, the fact that you have not been, wanting to work out, it's not that you're lazy or unmotivated, but like your nervous system, like it just doesn't feel safe to do that right now. And it's like, I know I will get back to it. It's about just finding my flow and rhythm again, but I'm not going to fucking force it. And I know it's like it is a fine line because sometimes it's like we need to push ourselves, but I know myself well enough to know like, okay, I just need to find different ways to move my body. And that's okay. Like use this as permission for your own self that if you are moving through something right now and you're like feeling like shit because you can't do the thing that you always do, well, just find an alternative to it. If it's just, for me, it might just be stretching or using like a band and moving my body in different ways or like going for a walk or whatever. But I think also know from my charts is that I operate better. Like I think I do like structure, but I do need flexibility within it. It can only be the same thing over and over for so long until then I'm like need to switch it up. Otherwise, yeah, and I think that's where I'm at because like I said, I had spent a couple of years doing these workouts and yeah, I think I love weight training. That's ultimately what it is, but I think I just need a break right now. In my space, I have access to, like, resistant bands, and so sometimes I will just do that or, us doing somatic videos on YouTube, all of those sorts of things feel so good, and also just, like, a spur of the moment dance party moment in the kitchen, in the bathroom. That is what makes me I mean, that's always made me feel good, but that is feeling exceptionally nourishing for me as I've been moving through all of this. Now, the decision to deactivate my Instagram, magically.mindful, I was inspired by a conversation with one of my really good friends, Liz, who was on the pod earlier or a couple months ago. But it was funny because she asked me, because we meet every week just to check in because we don't live in the same country. But she was asking me about my business, and so specifically she said she's like, "Yeah, how's your offer going? Like, what are you like blah, blah, blah." And I didn't even know what she was talking about. And then she said soul notes, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about soul notes." So, I shared a YouTube video a couple months ago. I guess yeah, in September about an offer that I had, and essentially it was coaching through voice notes. So, having support at your fingertips and not being constrained to, a 1-hour call. It was like very much flexible and all these things. And, for me, my greatest gift is my voice. And so I felt like, okay, this is a really great idea. Now, in the summertime, when I officially launched the podcast on YouTube and then also doing vlogs, at that point in time, because my background, like Magically Mindful, which started as an Instagram account, which was birthed in about August of 2020. And I just wanted a place to literally share my voice. So that looked like sharing videos of me talking, kind of like motivational videos, and just sharing insights, whether it was like about the new moon that was happening or whatever, just like empowering you to feel confident and to not care about what other people think, like that kind of vibe. And so that was what I utilized the space for. And I was very much like a infant in my self-development journey. Like at that point, I had the self-love thing down pat, but I was still very much like doing the inner work to alchemize my relationship with anger, alchemize it from negative to more positive one. And yeah, along the way, just through having that account, it exposed me to the world of mindset coaching and like self-development. Yeah, honestly, development in a much deeper way than I had known. And I was, introduced virtually to mentors and programs and all of these things. And so through that, I recognized, oh, I want to be a mindset coach. And and I mean, I guess first and foremost, it was crystal healing, and so I did a course on that, and then it evolved into mindset coaching because I was like, "Oh yeah, this is literally the work that I've been doing on myself." So, Magically Mindful, that was like, yeah, like my business. That's that, and it still is. It still is, but I that Instagram was very much built around coaching, and then prior to even launching Magically Mindful, like the business, the account, I knew I wanted to release a podcast, but that didn't come until March of 2023. Also because I was like going through that depressiveness. Is that even a word? But that season of depression had happened from about the time I launched my Instagram to the time I launched the podcast. So August 2020 to March of 2023, give or take. And ultimately, a business course that I had taken, the woman running it really encouraged having a podcast as a way to build like, trust, and know with your audience because those are keys to then be selling like a coaching offer or whatever. No matter what you're selling, like you want to have like, trust, and know with your audience, with your customer. So then launching it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to just be like my resume for people who are considering signing up for my coaching offers. They can come and truly see what I'm all about, what it would be like to work with me through listening to my podcast. So, yeah, I all of like through all of this, And also, if you don't know, my background's actually in radio. So, like, what I've always wanted to do, honestly, is just share my voice. Like, when I was younger, I did wanna be famous, and I still think that there's truth to that, but it's in a different light. Like, I wanna be a leader. And for what it's like to just help people on their journeys because, yeah, I think it's so easy for us to fall into ruts or like negative, well, not negative emotions, like to into like lower frequency emotions or vibrations when I just said frequency and vibration, that's basically the same thing. But what I'm trying to say is just that, like, if we find ourselves in darkness, it can feel so isolating. Like, even in this last month, I felt isolated, but then, doing the tattoo convention and doing things like that, then I was like, "Oh my god, okay." But yeah, like, it can feel so isolating, and I just want to be at this moment in time, like, a space, like, a space in the internet, you know, where people can come and just feel seen and acknowledged and know that they're not going crazy. Know that there's nothing wrong with them and there never was to begin with because my experience for so much of my life was, "Oh my god, something is wrong with me. Why am I this? Why am I that? I suck. I this, I blah blah blah," and cancel, clear, delete. But yeah, I'm like, if I can come out on the other side, then you fucking can too. If I can fucking do it, you can do it. And that's how I want to support people. Like this time last year, I had went to California and I left my job here in Calgary and I went full time in my coaching business, but I didn't make any money. And it was months and months of just grinding on social media and creating offers and launching them and having master classes to, you know, try to gain interest and this and that. And I just, yeah. And then, by the end of it, I launched my very first self-based paced course called the Self Love Blueprint. But that it also unfortunately wasn't a success. But even my saying that I have hesitancy because I'm like, "No, it was a success, but it just no one signed up." So, I think it was a success in the sense that I hunkered down and I created, like, the most beautiful program, and I spent so much time in the online portal, like, I had made it through my Squarespace website and all of this stuff, and, like, the sales page, oh my god, it's just so much time, and so it was a success in that sense, but just, like, yeah, I didn't make any money, and then, bringing the human design in again, my first 30 years of life, I am here to trial and error things, and I will be turning 30 next year in the summer, well, August 2026, so yeah, like, I'm kind of coming to the end and, like, I mean, also Saturn return, all of these things are happening, but it's like, yeah, these especially in my 20s, like, it's been very much like and then also I'm a manifesting generator, so, like, how I do succeed is following the things that I am passionate about, which is why I went to school for radio. Growing up, I loved listening to the radio, I would always call in to the shows, and if you're from Edmonton, you'll know Pepper and Dylan. They were on 91.7 The Bounce. It's not called that anymore. I know they're still on air, but I don't know for what station. But yeah, honestly, yeah, they knew me, okay, because I would call so much and I was just a little girl. Like I don't even know how old I was, honestly, but just so cute. And so yeah, I was just obsessed. And I'd call into the other shows too. And then yeah, like so for some context, after radio school, I had some jobs in the industry. My first one, I had the pleasure of spending a summer in Red Deer, Alberta, and I was the promotions assistant, I think. But in bigger markets, like cities like Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, radio stations have street teams. So they have a team of people who go out and are like at events and doing like giveaways or like just giving out freebies and having you enter into a giveaway, all of this stuff. But in Red Deer, I was the street team. It was just me. And that was so much fun. And then the next job I had got was an on-air job. It was my only on-air job, but I guess what I could say is when I was in Red Deer, the one of the program directors, because it was 2 stations under one roof, the program director for Big 105, I don't know if it's still called that, but he was like, "Yeah, you can voice over or do voice tracking." So that meant at night when everyone had gone home, I would go into one of the studios and I would pre-record things, and then that played from, like, midnight to 2 a.m. or something, and so that was so cool. If I have the recording, I'll insert it now.
Serena Ryder on Red Deer's Best Music, Big 105. I find dreams very fascinating, especially when they come true later on. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, but hey, maybe I'm just psychic. Once I dreamt that I was hanging out with Kylie Jenner, and now I am just praying that that does come true one day. Matt texted in, I have dumb dreams. Growing up and still to this day, I dream that I show up to hockey practice without my skates. That's not cool. And Amanda says, the dreams I don't want to wake up from are the ones where I'm happily in bed because I just want to stay there forever. Relatable.
But yeah, so then I moved to Grand Prairie for my first on-air gig.
You're listening to Q99. I'm Tesla Ray, and that wraps things up for me this evening. Don't forget, this weekend will be your last chance for Stuff a Bus donations. Check out Q99live.com to see when and where you can find the Q crew. Lighthouse is on the way, but for now, here's Johnny Hates Jazz.
But I ended up quitting. So why was because I was working the evening shift, so there was no one else in the station. But yeah, I think all radio stations have at least 2 under one roof. So the only people at the station when I was there was myself and then the announcer for the other station. But we wouldn't talk because like you can't really leave your area, like you're doing your thing. And what I loved so much about the radio was calling in and talking to the hosts, but at that time and I think also too just well, the time of day, but also because Grand Prairie, I don't believe it's considered a big market. Like, when I think of a big market, I'm thinking Toronto, Vancouver, even Edmonton or Calgary. That's bigger than Grand Prairie. So, the listenership was non-existent at the time of day that I was on the radio. Like, sometimes people would text in, but no one was calling in. If someone was calling in, it was for the morning show or the afternoon drive, but I was the evening. So, it was very isolating. And yeah, at that time, I mean, gosh, that was in 2017, so I was maybe 21 at that time. So, I didn't know anything about my human design or astrology, but I always have been driven by my passions, and if I don't like something, I'm sure when I was, like, younger, like, in my teens, I would stick it out, but I don't know, honestly, I forget the amount of jobs that I have had. Like, there's been a lot, and it's not because I'm flaky or inconsistent, it's just because, like, I've pivoted or, like, I moved, when I had a job in Edmonton, but then I moved away to Toronto for school, so it's like yeah, I felt so unhappy, and so, I left that job, and then when I did the next job that I had was in Edmonton, and I was the lead of a street team, so I had some more admin things to do beyond being live on location, and yeah, so I just wanted to give that context, I guess, in terms of it's very true. My design of I'm meant to do lots of things right now. And so, yeah, I just think like with the coaching, it's not to say I'll never do it, but it's it's just not the time. Right now is not the time. And it's so crystal clear to me that how I serve is through the podcast. And this I am so incredibly grateful for. Like, literally nothing makes me happier because in the moments where I felt like no one gives a shit about what I'm doing, i.e., putting out coaching offers and no one's like, "Hey, I want to sign up." I still was doing the podcast, I was doing it throughout all of that, but people would come to me and say, "Oh my gosh, like, I love your podcast, this episode, it this, that, like, it resonated so much, like, thank you for talking about this, I feel so seen." Like, and it's been these little nudges from the universe, but it's like, I overlooked it because it's the thing that is the most natural to me and all of this stuff, right? Like we sometimes it's right under our nose and we don't even realize it. And yeah, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I think I get it. You know, there's still so much left to learn and to experience, but I am taking a vow to fully focus on the podcast and my YouTube. And with that being said, I will always commit to releasing episodes bi-weekly, and my intention is to fill in the other weeks with vlogs. However, I never want to be in a position where I force myself to create content just for the sake of creating it. But when I say that, I more so mean the vlogs because just with the podcast, it's just like I never feel forced to do it. Maybe once a year, I need to take a month off, but aside from that, I don't feel forced. It feels this is so at home for me. And it's not to say that the vlogging doesn't feel at home for me, but I just think the way that my life is right now, I'm like, okay, in the summertime it was great because I was going out and doing things, but right now it's just a little bit more chill. So I don't know if you have any things that you would love to see me post in a vlog, please comment it below because I'm very open to suggestions, and I do have a vlog coming out next week, actually. I You can kind of see behind me, there is this painting that I did. It is a textured art mountains. So I vlogged that whole journey because I've never done something to this scale, like, this is quite a large canvas. So that was really fun, so I'm excited for you to see that, but yeah, I do have some ideas for vlogs, but I just don't wanna force myself, and that also comes with, why I am saying goodbye to my magically.mindful Instagram because the energy there, like, of course, I can delete posts and this and that, and I have, but again, this time last year, being in California, I was forcing content because I'm like, okay, I have to post this many times in a week if I wanted this and that. And all of that is noise to me. It is irritating. I am so over that fucking shit. I am not here to appease the algorithm. It's just another form of people pleasing. Like, I'm done. I'm fucking done with that, and that's why I love YouTube. I know you may be listening to the podcast on another platform, but which is great, but for if you are seeing this on YouTube because and honestly, yeah, like YouTube has shown me the most love with the podcast as well. It's been amazing. Like the reach is greater than it has been versus just posting on Spotify, Apple, and wherever else it gets distributed. So I don't feel like I have to appease anyone here on YouTube. I feel like I upload it and we're good to go. Like it's different from all of the other social apps, you know? And also with the history of the whoa, of the Instagram account that was magically.mindful, I launched that 2020, but that wasn't a brand new account. It first was a supplementary it was my secondary account to my main IG that I had all throughout high school, which was T dashing, which no longer exists. So I had made a backup account. It was T and my last name. Then it turned into Tesla on Air for when I was working in Grand Prairie and I had a fake last name. I was Tesla Ray. And then it became Magically Mindful. So, what I will say is that the majority of followers that I had on that account came from Magically Mindful, but there were still some stragglers, and it's just like I hit 1,000 followers. I think I don't know, at some point in 2025 I did. Like I can't remember exactly when it was. Let's say it was March or April. I haven't seen really any more growth beyond hitting that mark. And that felt like a little milestone, like, oh my God, I hit 1,000 followers. But the most that I had seen was like maybe 1,030. And as far as I know, I think since I deactivated it, it had like 1,014. And I'm like, okay, so also if I have that amount of followers, and I look at my engagement, there's only a few select people that are actually engaging with my posts. And like, sure, my views might be a large number, but eh, so I am just like so excited to have a fresh start on my Magically Mindful podcast Instagram because this is so good because it's like I know the people, of course there could be random people that will follow it, but in terms of my Magically Mindful account, I shared, "Hey, I'm getting rid of this account. If you wanna, like, continue to follow the journey, like, come to this new account," and it's like, yeah, it's more intentional. Like, I don't expect to see all of the same followers that I once had on my new account, and that I'm excited about because it's like the people who truly support and wanna follow and this and that, they're gonna be there. They are there, and I'm so grateful, so, so grateful for that, and also too, it's like, okay, now there's no confusion because it's like I think, yeah, the people that were following along on the old account, they would have known me very much as like, "Oh yeah, she does the coaching thing." Or it was, when I would off like so much life, so much pivoting happened in that account of like I was offering crystal healing and then I was offering mindset coaching and then it was subconscious rewiring and then it was human design and astrology readings. Like there were so many things. So now it's like I'm just how I serve you is through the podcast. And if you want to donate, click the link in the description if you want to share a donation because this is how I serve. This is the work that I do. And like ultimately my goal is to, yeah, do ad spots for aligned companies and get sponsorships and brand deals and all of these sorts of things, become an affiliate. Like these are the routes that I'm looking to take. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what the future holds. Like I I've always said I would love to host retreats. I could still see that happening, doing events, doing things, but I just want to focus on what I'm truly passionate about, and that is this. That is you and me right here, right now. This is what I love to do. And so I'm so excited to be just clearing out the old and creating so much more space for the new, for all that is aligned. And I think that is such a beautiful thing that has come out of this that month of the dark night of the soul and just feeling so underground that allowed me to really see what is important and what feels good. And another thing that I have officially done is filed for insolvency, baby. I started my consumer proposal and it's still very new. Like I signed the papers, but they have to my team has to contact like the creditors and then all of those things have to come into play. But why I mentioned that obviously because it's something that I've spoken about my journey with debt. And yeah, so I was just under $50,000. And so I'm very grateful that I'm going to, be starting the journey of rebuilding my credit and all of that. But even that, because right now I am just working DoorDash and Uber Eats. I am searching for a remote job. If you are hiring for a remote job, hit me up because I'm your girl. But yeah, it's like the easiest way to put this, but I obviously wanna be always intentional with my language, but it's like, okay, money is tight right now, but cancel, clear, fucking delete that. It's I have enough to pay the things that I need to pay. I think there's gonna be moments where it's gonna be like, "Okay, I don't have anything," but if there's a will, there's a way. The money is always gonna it's always gonna come. It ebbs and flows. It's gonna fucking work out. And me a couple weeks ago, I didn't feel as optimistic as I do now, but like that I have to just focus on right here and right now because the last time I caught myself in a mental spiral was when I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, my rent is gonna come out and then next week, and then what am I gonna do once it comes out, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, "Tesla, we're not even fucking there yet." So, like, one thing at a time. And, like, yeah, if you can catch yourself in those moments, oh, it is so it's so helpful, like, chef's kiss, because it'll save you a lot of fucking unnecessary doom. But I think I had this thought recently where I recognized like, okay, if I it feels like I have less in terms of, the number in my bank account, but it's like I don't that's a lack and scarcity mindset. Like I'm not in lack. Like I have so much to be grateful for. So fucking much. And but through that it's like all of this is helping me to be so intentional with how I'm living because for years, I had inheritance and I wasn't thinking twice about how I was spending my money, which is why I'm in the position that I'm in today, but that's okay. Like it's all lessons. And for my astrology babes, my Saturn is in Aries in the 4th house, okay? And I just turned 29 in August of 2025. So if you know, you know. Like, this is all a part of my Saturn return. And I'm a Capricorn rising, so I'm ruled by Saturn. So many lessons and learnings in terms of my relationship with money and creating security and stability. Months I've been saying I need to find a stable job so that I can feel secure and stable, but it's like no babe, that money doesn't bring me that. I bring myself that. So that's why I did recently interview for another job, but I got it, but it was just a temp job, but I actually declined it because I was like I don't need like it just logistically didn't make sense to do. Like why I went in for the interview was because I needed to get more information about the role and once I did, it was like, okay, this doesn't actually make sense for me. But yeah, it's like I I don't want to do things or live my life out of fear and lack and all of this shit. And going underground and coming like, being above ground once again, it's like, "Okay, I can see this now," and also something that helped me, which this is my teenage thread that I mentioned earlier, I did a live workshop with my favorite astrologer, Chris Corsini, who I've mentioned lots on the pod. He did a clearing limits event, and it was very much about working with the subconscious mind and, like, clearing limiting beliefs, but it was so cool because I've done a lot of that work, and it just the way that he presented it was in a way like, just in a total new way, and I just absolutely loved it, and he is very much like he channels source, and when he, like, does tarot readings, like, he's so, like, in partnership with source, like, it's so cool to me, but yeah, like, the first half of the workshop was him, like, channeling information, and something that he said was, like, "We make a lot of decisions from fear," he was listing off examples, and one of the things he said was, "Oh, I have to take this job because I'm not gonna get another one." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck that." Like, no. Like, we have to be responsible, of course, but I like but it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna take a job for the sake of taking a job. And it's like, it's so important to not say yes as soon as an opportunity arrives. Like, if you know, okay, like, and for me, I'm ruled like how I make decisions, I'm a sacral authority. So it's like my gut. So there is truth in the now for me. But another example I have of someone offering me a job, well, in the summertime when I was uh, picking up a alcohol order for DoorDash, and there's this liquor store, like I can literally see it outside of my window. It's so close. And this guy was like, "Oh, you know, like, what's your pay like with DoorDash? Like, would you wanna work here? Blah, blah, blah." And it was like, okay, well, first of all, I'm sober, so no, like, I don't care to be the only reason I'm ever in a liquor store is if I'm picking up a fucking liquor order for DoorDash and or Uber Eats. So, like, to deliver to someone, not for myself. But then also I needed to, like, run the numbers because, yeah, I would have been making less money working there than I would have been with DoorDash, so that doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Because even too, with this job that recently came, I mean, both for the liquor store and then this other job, like, if I would have said yes without getting the information, I would have been in a very like, not good situation, so it's like, I'm so grateful to have been offered these roles, but they're not aligned, They're not aligned, and it's important to say no. Sometimes it's like you hear, "Oh, say yes to every opportunity," and it's like, there is truth in that, but, like, also at the same time, no, don't fucking do that because you're gonna burn out. It's gonna lead you to fucking burnout, and that's the last thing that I want, and so it's also very crystal clear to me that outside of the podcast and doing YouTube, I want a remote job. And the job that I had been manifesting that I like didn't end up getting, that was a remote job. And so then after that, I started applying for local things like Starbucks and Winners because these are places close to me. And, I didn't get those jobs, but thank God I didn't because I don't fucking want that kind of job. And I'm not gonna fucking settle. I'm not settling. If I'm gonna fucking work a job, it's gonna be a remote job. That's it. That's it. Cheers to fucking that. So that's that on that. Truly. And I think, yeah, my goal is that I would love to have a remote job when it's winter conditions because I would very much prefer to not be driving for work during those like the winter because it puts you more at risk. Cancel clear delete, but that's like the fact of the matter. But it all comes down to just trusting that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. And when I look at the astrology of it all and I talk to AI, it's like that reminder, like, yeah, this is all happening for me. And it's temporary. Like it can feel so suffocating when we find ourselves in situations that we don't want to fucking be in, but it's temporary. And depending where you're at, like, that might land and it might not, and that's okay because a few weeks ago, that was not landing for me. It was not even crossing my mind. But I just recently realized, like, I'm like, "Okay," because, like, where I'm living right now, I love so much, and, like, there was a moment, like, where fear came in of, like, "Oh my god, do I need to, get rid of my place and, like, move in with my partner and all of this?" And then it's like, "No, like, that's not what this time is teaching me." Like, if eh, if this is how like, I don't know how long it's gonna be where I'm solely relying on food delivery for my income, but, if that's how it's gonna be, that's how it's gonna be, but I'm, like, gonna continue to put this roof over my head, okay? And, but then I thought to myself, I'm like, "Oh, there's only 8 months left on my lease." So, it's like I need we need to remember that we're not gonna be like, nothing is fucking permanent. So, even if we're in, like, such a shitty situation, find the things that you're grateful for. Right now, think of, like, 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for, because you and me right here, right now, it's not forever. Like, everything is always changing, and we don't know what's in store for us, which is a very exciting thing, and I know for some, though, that can feel, like, scary. I love change, though, so, yeah, I look at it as a positive thing, but use that as an anchor of, like, okay, if it feels hard right now, and maybe it's been months of feeling like this, like, and like I said, when I was feeling depressed, that was years like that, but I don't feel like that anymore. And it's not to say I'll never experience it again, but, like, it's temporary. It's always temporary, and it's everything is redirection and protection. It truly is. And, I may not have the full picture right now, but even in a year from now, like, I'll have so much more clarity and I'll be like, wow, like, thank you, universe, for protecting me from this, that, and the other. Because, like, even when we can't see it, it's happening. Like, so much is happening behind the scenes. So fucking much. So, what I want to leave you with is just that reminder to trust your intuition and yourself and your journey. Like, trust yourself because when we turn on ourselves, like, that's the worst fucking thing we can do, honestly. Like, in my opinion, if we become our enemy, like, that's not gonna do anything for us. So, what can you do to strengthen your trust to self and the the greater powers at play? Like, and for me, that's the universe, that's source. Like, trusting myself in source because neither of us have led us astray, like, honestly, because everything has been, like, leading me to now. And even when I think about the job that I really wanted and I didn't get, if I would have gotten that job, I wouldn't be right here, right now, like, deactivating my Instagram. That would not have probably even like, came to light, but this all of this is helping me to get in more alignment with what I actually and truly desire, what I so deeply desire. So, yeah, wherever you're at is perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. I fucking love you. You're not alone. The cosmos have been a lot because I know I'm not the only one that's been going through a whirlwind of a time. So it's all temporary. The planets are always moving. We've fucking got this, okay? Do the things that feel best for you always, okay? Don't fucking force yourself to do some shit you don't want to do. Okay, we're not doing that. It's almost the end of 2025. Do we want to be fucking doing shit that we don't want to do in 2026? No. And for me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be welcoming in. I still have many months to go, but before I know it, will be welcoming in a whole new decade. My third decade of life is going to begin. So let's fucking clean this shit up now so that we can have infinite amounts of space for all of the beautiful blessings, magic, and miracles that are yet to come. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone you love, and let's keep the conversation going on Instagram at Magically Mindful Podcast. For collaborations and partnerships, email magicallymindfulpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please leave us a review so we can continue to grow this amazing community.